CinemaCon. That's a lot of stuff.
Look,
I mean, let's be honest about it. I think Paramount won. I think Paramount had the most.
Do you? Okay.
And the most exciting thing.
For me, I'm just going to give it to Disney strictly for Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, listen, guys. This is how great it was. First of all, before anything even started, they had a little thing pop up on the screen telling people to turn off their cell phones, and it was fucking Deadpool and Wolverine basically cursing the shit out of people for phones going off, kind of a thing. Fucking hilarious. But then when they did the actual 9-minute presentation, if you haven't read it or the description or anything, y'all, before it was even introduced, everybody, the audience, the crowds, everything's asking Kevin Feige, what do you think? You've seen it. What do you think? And he's like, well, it's R-rated, so I can say this. It's fucking awesome. Straight up, Kevin Feige said it's fucking awesome. And then it comes on, y'all, and it is 9 minutes of pure F-bombs and raunchy shit. He's basically saying that he finally said, it's time. I told 20th Century Fox to fuck off. I'm going to Disneyland. And he said, the only condition that Kevin Feige had for me was no cocaine. And as he's saying that, he's covered in powder with bags of cocaine. And then he's like talking about hosting a birthday party for his blind friend, from the movies and stuff. But he mistaken the girls, and they're actually sex workers and strippers, and they're all scantily clad and like all this kind of... It's basically 9 minutes of him fucking doing everything Feige said would never show up in a Marvel or Disney movie. Basically giving them all the big F you. Breaking the fourth wall the whole time. And then they are holding very close to the vest Wolverine. It was like, from what I understand, a boom, and you missed him kind of a scene. But he is in full costume. And of course, Deadpool wouldn't be Deadpool if he wasn't him. So he looks at him, and from what I understand from the description, he kind of looks at him real quick and says, man, what the fuck? Friends don't let friends dress as LA Rams fans, because he's in the blue and fucking yellow. So he's just like fucking with his costume and shit. So for me, I mean, come on, man. I am so fucking ready for this film. I mean, I've been waiting forever to see him in the full costume with the mask and everything. But the idea that they're just going to let it go and he's going to... I mean, they've been saying forever, don't worry, we're not going to make it not Deadpool. It's going to be everything you want it to be. And clearly this 9 minutes secured that. I think fans are fucking pumped, bro.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I definitely think that was the most talked about thing from CinemaCon. It definitely seems like it, even more than... the Joker trailer that did get record amount of views on YouTube, bigger than Barbie. So, I mean, that was announced. But the reason I say Paramount is because I feel like a lot of the announcements that were at CinemaCon are about a lot of going back to property that they have already touched on. They're going back to reliable franchises. So I feel like, Paramount is doing, yes, they also have reliable franchises that they're going back to as well. They're going with the mold, but they're stepping outside of it too with, I feel like that's a big risk. Because, I mean, the family films are definitely, they're supposed to be reliable, but I feel like this imagination that John Krasinski came up with, it's definitely different. It's something completely different when it comes to the family genre.
Oh, yeah.
So that's very exciting. And then I also feel like, I don't know if Paramount is trying to also go with the Marvel mold, the mold that Deadpool 3 is with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rated R film. I mean, that kind of, is walking in the same vein. But I mean, the Bee Gees biopic with Ridley Scott, that's huge. And
who
I feel
they cast in that is going to be massive. Because, I mean, casting
agree.
the Bee Gees, it's going to make or break that film. I don't care how great Ridley Scott is, right? It's like the Beatles one coming up. If you fucking cast the Beatles incorrectly or cast the Bee Gees incorrectly, your movie's fucking over. It's done, right? So, woo! And to your point, though, like I kind of hinted, because I'm a huge fan. I've been a fan of the graphic novels before anybody even knew who these people were. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were dark. It was black and white, hardcore, adult graphic novel. So I feel like they're just going back to the original source material and saying, okay, let's do it. Fuck it. Seems to be working. Let's do it. So, and you brought it up.
Completely agree.
Oh no, sorry, you brought it up. Joker too.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. We were like, no part of it. I don't want to see it. No. And then that trailer. But for me, I thought the trailer, bro, kind of. And maybe I'm just interpreting it. It's because it's what I desperately want it to be, so that I will go see it. But we've talked about it. I said I'd be okay if it wasn't like a legit musical, but that if every so often we get a little song and dance number because he's thinking in his head. He's like, because he's a fucking psychopath. And so if he's envisioning these little dance and song numbers, like to try to justify these things with Harley Quinn or something, and it's only every so often, I would be fine with that. I'd go see that. And that's what the trailer made it look like anyway, right? It didn't seem like it was a full out every other scene's going to be a musical number kind of a thing. It just made it look like maybe he was playing some shit in his head. And I'd be okay with that if that's it, because, all right, I'll admit it, I've been dogging the shit out of it forever, but I kind of fucking like the trailer. I liked the trailer.
Like I said on social media too. Yeah, it's a really good looking trailer. Like, and I mean, it's very beautiful too.
Oh.
Like when it comes to storytelling and cinematography and like classic film, it is very much that. And I'm wondering if they're doing the same thing that Kevin Feige did with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, classifying that as a horror film, but it wasn't really a horror film. It was more a thriller, and you had like one or two jump scares.
Right.
And with this one, yeah, maybe you're right, where there is one or two or a few song and dance numbers to where, like, yeah, it is going through his head. But yeah, I mean, and especially for me, as someone, I've been very vocal about this too. I didn't really like the first one. I thought it was hard to watch. And I mean, yeah, that's what the story is. But like a big thing for me, and I've talked about this a million times, is rewatch value and feeling you have when walking out of it. That's such a dark film. I didn't have a good feeling walking out of it, and then I did not want to rewatch it at all. So, I mean, those are the two biggest things for me, that the reason why I didn't like it. But I don't know, man. Something about this trailer is brilliant, but I still can't buy her as Harley Quinn.
No,
though.
yeah, I'm
Margot
not.
is so good as Harley Quinn. I still can't buy her as Harley Quinn.
No, because this is a very different version of Harley Quinn, and I'm just not sold
Yeah.
on it. Harley Quinn was very specific in what she was supposed to be and who she's supposed to be, and this is just a very different take on it. I'm not sure I'm okay with it. And I'm like you, though. I loved the first movie, but did not rewatch it. I've only seen it once, the time we saw it in the theaters, and that was it. I also did not want to watch it again, even though I loved it.
Yeah.
A couple other just quick things I want to talk about. I'm thrilled that they are going to release Superman theatrically, you guys. Now, we talked about it, and the plan was originally to debut it on Max, but now it is going to get a theatrical release. I think it's the perfect way to build up momentum for Superman. For Gunn's Superman. I think it's like, here's the OG. Let's talk about all of the miraculous stuff that Superman was and what he stood for and how Christopher Reeve portrayed it. It's a great build-up, and to do it in a theater is going to be just fantastic. And then, of course, the logo. I fucking love the logo. I like that they're not just going with the generic original S and trying to just change it a little bit. Like, I like that it's different. So, man, I'm pumped about those.
For sure, man, for sure. And before we transition into our guest segment, I was honestly very disappointed with NBC Universal. As the studio who just won Best Picture, who just like had an amazing year at the Oscars for Oppenheimer, they didn't have a large slate. And then the stuff they did are either the sequels, the reboots, and nothing really that is like jumping out at me. I mean, I guess the most like thing I'm excited for NBC Universal is it's probably the Twister sequel. With Glenn Powell. Or I mean Blumhouse's Wolfman, but other than that, like I'm really disappointed with NBC Universal because like I said, when we first came back after the Oscars, after you win Best Picture, you have a new status quo. You're basically like the biggest guy in town.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to come shop their projects with you. And to see this, I'm pretty upset, not upset, but disappointed about it. So yeah, I mean, hot take, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah. And then just two quick things because we mentioned it at the top. Thunderbolts
whoa,
asterisk. So Feige
yes,
would not go into detail. All he said is that that is the title. The asterisk was not a typo or a mistake, and that after the movie is released, they would explain the asterisk and what it means. That's all we got. That was pretty cool though. Thunderbolts did show Cap's new costume. It did show Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross as the president, and he's basically the scene that they released is him asking Cap to reform the Avengers. So that's pretty badass. And then the other one quickly that I said I was surprised by, I thought the go-to release date for fucking Fantastic Four would be July 4th. It only made fucking
right?
perfect sense. But as we went through all of the other studios' announcements and release dates, it looks like the weekend of July 3rd, 4th, 5th is going to be packed with huge movies and huge franchises. And Fantastic Four has got a lot riding on it. I mean, it's a huge bet to finally get it right. And they're like, you know what? We're not going to open it against all these fucking other blockbusters. We're going to back off. We're going to wait a couple weeks and then debut it. So there you go. I think everybody was kind of hoping for a fourth release for the four Fantastic, but it makes sense to me. I think it's a wise move by Disney and Marvel, and I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, man, completely agree. I'm super excited about a lot of this stuff, though. I mean, like we said, they released a lot of stuff at this convention, and I mean, honestly, another winner to take away from this is Dave Bautista. He's in quite and Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
They're both in quite a few different things for different studios. So they're like, hey, we can still do other things that are not superhero movies.
Exactly.
So that's really exciting to see. But yeah, man, I'm excited about a lot of stuff. So we'll see how it goes and all the good things. All the good things.
Yeah.